Okay, there we are. Hopefully everybody can hear me in that one too and see me. All right, so let me go ahead and log back into the little Lego one so I can control things. That's the hard one because I had to put password and everything in. I do it all the hard way. Just lately I have to actually type it in now. I didn't have to type the name in. Now I do. Which is kind of dumb, but come on. My email is so slow. I just copy and paste the code in. Except when I highlight everything. Oh, come on, don't drag it. Okay, now I just got to paste it in. It should allow me to type again. There we are. Okay, so yeah, we're in. Yep, there it is. The other one started, so it's going. All right, so we got one in each. I think we got Lydia in Lego World, and I think Ken might be in this little Lego one. So y'all can hear me, I hope. Well, if you can hear me in one, you can hear me in the other, I'm sure. So because they're both linked to the same camera and the same microphone. So all right, I got two people here. Oh, geez, 16. Yeah, right. I was gonna show this first behind me here and get it out. Not taking my chair over. Got this new car right here now. Got a total of 4 of them now. Got this one about a week ago. I think I built it yesterday or the day before. I think I built it yesterday. I just got to put in the box. All these boxes I got here. It's this one right here. That one. So it's set number 76921 of the Speed Champions. Keep wanting to call them Speed Demons for some reason. So, find it the same way. That's it right there. So yeah, I just built that the other day. I got all the stickers on it and stuff. I can't hear you. Oh, bloody nose.
Yeah, I don't know how. I was asleep.
You might punched yourself or something.
What?
But yeah, that's the. What is it called anyway? I think it's an Audi. Did you stop?
I don't know how it.
Audi S1 e-tron Quattro.
You might want to feed him because those are not good for him.
I can't exactly feed him when I'm live. This stuff always happens when I'm live.
It's like hits the fan or something. Really live.
So yeah, anyway. Oh, is it already here? Well, what do you want me to do about it? Stop my live and handle the nuts?
Not nuts. I still don't
Yeah,
know
they're
how
almonds.
he got them.
They're almonds.
Yeah, those are not good for him.
Courtney and Layla just came in, looks like, at the little Lego World. Okay,
I
so
had them up too. I still don't know how he got it.
it climbs. I also have my other channel, Little Lego, which is actually a little bit wider than this one is. Lego World is. So if you want to go over there, I think I have. Well, the link is obviously Lego World. Let me go ahead and put a little banner on there. So let's see. Yeah, this one here. That's my other one. So if you want a little bit wider, you can. Her dog swiped her bag of almonds. Right at the beginning of this live, as I was transitioning over to Lego World, and he swiped it and started running down the hallway and hid, and he had the whole bag. It's a big old bag, and so she was chasing him. So she had to go in there and get him, chase him down. So I think Arnie is messaging me. I think. Hold on a second.
They're not good for dogs. They're a choking hazard.
Yeah, must be somebody. Oh, yep, he did. Yeah, I know you're there. What?
Choking hazard. I just look at that. They're
For
not
children. Okay. Let me go ahead and. I'm going to go ahead and invite everybody to the little Lego one instead. So I'll go ahead and put that in both because it's got a small wider screen. So it's going to be the same link on both of them. It'll take you directly to little Lego. That's the little Lego link. Go to the panel if you want. It's a bigger screen, so I can actually see both of us. With the other one, it kind of gets really weird. So yeah, Arnie, if you want to come in, you can. That link will take you straight to the Lego World, or I mean, a little Lego. I'm not going to do any panels of Lego World at this time because it was too much of a pain trying to figure it all out. So, but yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here. Not really much planned. I did make some more of those theme songs, but I'm going to keep the one I have. That one actually, I think I didn't play that one last week, but I ended up creating it about a minute after. So it was between that one and the country one, so they're pretty much tied. So I have more or less had both. I use both. I haven't made much videos lately. I think I made one video and has the one on it, but I'll have the others on it soon. Layla and Mia. So I got two people that came in on one account and little Lego. So they transferred over. Yeah, that's what I was doing right when I was starting on what's going on. Got a little bit of lag there. But yeah, I had to eat right, literally finish it like 2 seconds before I had to come on. That's why I always come on a minute late. So it gives me a little time to kind of get prepared and stuff. I actually start this thing about probably 2-3 hours before I come on. That way, if there's any glitches or anything like that, I know about it and I can fix it. So and I just keep the computer running. I take a nap, or whatever. Oh, it's already. So what do you want me to do? This is my other account. Okay. So yeah, the link is right above, Arnie. If you want to come into the panel, right above you there. Cricket just came in too, into the little Lego. Little Lego's a little bit more stable than the Yarn World one, or Yarn World. I just combined both of them together, the old one and the new one, the Lego World. So I'm never going to get used to that new name. I had it for over a month, almost 2 months now. I still can't get used to it. But yeah, if you want to come to the panel, the link is right above you, above the chat there. And that takes you to little Lego, the one you're in now, Arnie. And on Lego World, I've got the little Lego link on that one also. So it'll take you directly to this panel. Yeah, for me, the Lego World one is just a tiny little screen over here on my other monitor. This one here is actually the wide one, but I got it as square because that way it cuts off all the junk on each side. There's not really much to look at except for a wall. So there's like no point in having that in there. I don't even know how to turn it off anymore. I set that one time and now it stays like that. It only stays like that on little Lego. That's the funny thing. It doesn't do that on the other one, even though it's the same computer or whatever. Yeah, I run both of them on the same computer, same device, same everything. Everything's all the same. Same devices, I guess you'd say, as in mic and camera. And that's why if you're watching both, you see me move. I'm actually moving on both the same exact way. I just have to kind of center it to fit into their one, which is a little crooked, I noticed. I think it's because my wife used to see it a couple of days ago on her live. A little bit straighter. So yeah, I don't know if I have any mods in Lego World or not, but hopefully Lydia might be in there. I do tend to get a lot of trolls in that one. I'm actually thinking about putting that one back to the same as this, as Lego World, little Lego is. not doing the what do they call it, the landscape again. No, not is it called landscape? Portrait. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, yep, the vertical. Think about changing that one to horizontal. If you think that's what I should do, let me know. You're on both? Okay. Let me know what you think. Yeah, Arnie is he's on a different account. It's not modded right now. I can change him to a mod probably. We go ahead and hey Arnie, are you still there, or you think that is it safe to make you a mod on this account too? Let me know. I don't know if it's somebody else's account or what. Why I'm asking first. Anytime you say hello on Little Lego, it'll say hello to you back. Nightbot will. Whether you say anything after the hello, it'll still say that. That's why it responds to you. It's just a little fun trick it does. And if you answer it back, you say, I'm good, Nightbot, it'll answer you back again. Or anything to that effect. It's kind of a little funny little switcheroo or whatever they'll call it. And Lydia just put in the weather for Nebraska City. And it's clear with a temperature of 50. It's raining here. It's been raining for like a week. I mean, and when it rains here, it doesn't stop. It goes on for months and months and months. In fact, if I put weather in there, I'll probably say it's raining right now. Chances are. See what it says. You can do that on both. But yeah, both of them except weather, and both of them except your. You can also put your link up by just typing the word drop. So yeah, the word drop on either channel will bring up your channel link. Looks like a doctor just came in. They're kind of speaking a funny language. I don't understand what they're saying, so that's in legal world. I have to speak English. Mine doesn't translate yet. They should do it where Nightbot translates it for you. That's what they should do. That way, if it comes up with a different language, it'll just translate exactly what they said in English. Right after them, maybe with their name or something like that. That way you know who it was. Oh, Arnie, just came in Lego World. Hey, Arnie, you want to go ahead and go to Little Lego instead? I don't know how you got to that. Hey, Arnie.
I will.
Hey, you want to go ahead and go to Little Lego instead? Because it's kind of funky on this channel. It likes to go laggy a lot when I have somebody on that one. You want to transfer that? Yeah, I think I have the link up there, I believe. It should take you to Little Lego. Do you need the link again? I could put it on this one again. Let me go ahead and give you unless maybe I gave the wrong link. Let me go ahead and post it on there. All right, there it is there. What the heck? I've been double clicking a lot lately. Let me put that on both. Just make sure it's the same one. Oh no, that was the Lego World one. So yeah, not your fault. I'm being stupid. Put the wrong one on there.
Yeah.
So that's the little Lego link that just came up on both of them. Yeah, I almost have to, squint just to see you. It's so tiny.
Yeah. Did you want me to go to the other one?
Yeah, if you can, it'd be a lot easier. I can hear you better than I can see you. So.
Yeah. I'll be back.
Okay. All right, so Yarny's going to come over to Little Lego. Everybody on Lego World will hear him, but they won't see him, obviously. This is the same guy you just saw. If you could see him, I don't know. For me, it's just too small for me. I got bad eyes as it is. That's why I didn't even know he was up. I just heard the beep. And it's funny because that one beeps, this one doesn't. I have to just kind of keep an eye out down there. I have the sound coming from separate TVs corresponding to which channel it's on. So if it does beep, it gets my attention over that way like it did, and vice versa. Got 5 people in Lego World and 2 in Lego. You can see him on my phone. Yeah, it's just I have bad eyesight, Lydia, so it's hard to. I could see the little Lego one just fine, but on that one, because it's such a small little screen on there, because it represents the phone size. You know what I'm talking about. You used StreamYard before, especially when I'm watching this one. It's kind of hard to see it with my perpendicular vision because it's so small. That's all I'm using right now. Every time I'm trying to look into this one, I'm using my perpendicular vision to see that one. That way I know when somebody's coming up or whatever. The chat I have right above here, so I see that all the time. That's like my upper perpendicular vision. So I got it positioned where it is so I can see it. I am on the computer. It does both. Lego World is the phone like this, and the little Lego is the wide one. I just have it formatted as a square, so that way it cuts off both sides. Because otherwise you just see a white wall and a white wall or door right here, and there's no reason to have that in there. That's why it's centered on these. With the little Lego, all you see is the shelf behind me, or Little Lego World. With this one, Little Lego, you see my storage bins and all that stuff here. Still slightly wider, not by much. I don't even know how to turn that off. I wanted to turn it off. You go ahead and show the walls, but I can't remember how you even turn it on. You have to square to actually take up the whole screen. I got all these set boxes sitting here, and I don't really want that shown right now. Especially if I get a new set, I don't want to give it away until I bring it up like I just did. Unless they're all knocked down and stuff. I can have my phone. I do have a thing where I can put my phone on, but there he is. There you are. And you're square too. I wasn't sure if you could do widescreen and make you square too, but yeah.
Yeah, on the computer, I searched for little Lego, and believe it or not, I couldn't find it for nothing. I think he was acting stupid.
It was acting stupid. Yeah, you could just go to Little Lego and click that link. Still gonna be the same thing. It'll work either way. You know what's so funny? I mean, this is just a little secret. I don't know if this is true, but to me, you can just click the URL. The URL is exactly the same thing as the link. The StreamYard.com and the numbers. I see it right here on my URL up above.
Yeah.
So it's like, why did people click invite? I can just click that, copy and paste, and it's the same exact thing. Exactly the same thing, except for the HTTPS isn't in there.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys see that, but that means anybody can go on panel if they wanted to. That's just a little secret. Lydia says she'll be right back on Lego World. Hey, is it okay to go ahead and make this account that you're on to a mod? Is it safe? Arnie?
What's that?
Is it safe to make this account a mod so that way you can control things too, or because you're a mod on your regular account?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was somebody else's account or what it is. I just got to find you on there now. Oh, I guess you have to talk in there. Oh yeah, there you are. It's Layla and Mia, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go ahead and get that set up for you. You should be getting it in here in a second. Let's see. I can't remember if I have you as a manager. I'll make this one a standard for right now.
Yeah.
I think you're a manager on there. I'm not positive. It might be standard. There you go. You should be getting that notification here in a second.
Yeah, because Layla and Maya is my old phone.
Oh, okay. So
And then Fun Seeker is the
Fun Seeker is the one I'm used to.
newest phone.
And Manga just came into the Lego world. I got 6 over there, 8 over there. It was 6 for a second. I tend to get a lot of trolls on that one. I don't know why, but I haven't gotten any today. But last week I had trolls left and right on that one. 10 over there now. So that's why Lydia's kind of watching that one over there. Lydia's one of my how do I put it? I don't want to put it the wrong way. One of my oldest mods. I don't mean that as age. I mean that as the channel, as in how long she's been a mod.
Yeah. Hi, Lydia.
Yeah, I think she left for a second. So that way you're a mod over here and she could be a mod over there. She doesn't have to actually watch both if she has to, if she wants to. But I mean, she can, but I don't recall having any trolls on this one though, on new Lego yet. Knock on wood. Only wood to knock on. Yeah, I can knock on wood. But I get trolls at least 1 or 2 every time on. She's back on every live I go on Lego World now. At least 1 or 2. I just ignore them. I got these stupid gnats in here. I sprayed in here to get the gnats out.
Yeah.
We got some lag there. Okay. I think we're back. That's why I pause. If I catch the lag, I'll stop for a second. But, so what's up with you, Arnie?
Yeah, not much of anything.
Just chilling, huh?
Yeah, I took a nap before and then I went to church earlier and coming back home from church, I found the TV roadside, just sitting on the side of the road.
Oh, wow.
And so I figured, oh, what the heck? It'll give me something to diagnose. And so I brought it in, let it warm up, and I plugged it in, and the TV works. Nothing wrong with
He
it.
says I had a troll in Lego World. I didn't see them, so I guess she took care of it. But yeah, I found out what I think it was this TV, or was it this one? One of these two that I'm using now, I actually found on the side of the road, and it works perfectly, no problems at all. Oh, she got it, and the other one I bought, so just because it matched, I saw it, I was like, oh, it matches the other one. I think I got it on Craigslist or something like that. Actually, I think I got the one on Craigslist, which would be this one in front of me first, and I think the other one was one that was found on the side of the road, is what it was. So I grabbed it because they're both Vizio. They're both the same brand. That was what caught my eye.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I did find, well, actually, Ken brought over 2 TVs, 2 little 24-inch TVs, or not TVs, but monitors, computer monitors. And that's what I'm using up here is one of them. The other one, it was in bad shape. The other one looks like somebody put their hand through it or something like that, but just it couldn't see it until you turn it on. That one was a nice one too. It was an Acer. The one I'm using up here is a Walmart brand, the On or And or whatever it's called. So that's my chat up above here.
Yeah.
But that was the only one out of 2 that worked. Yeah, the other one I have it sitting somewhere. The parts, I don't know where. It's not in here. I think it's in the inner room, probably underneath my my city. Did you guys notice what I did with my city? I raised the one corner up about 8 inches, actually 6 inches, about 5 3/4 inches. Raised it up and put the Winter Village up there. There's gonna be I haven't decided to put the road up there to go up there, or if we just put stairs like a music park type theme park type thing or not. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna brick it all in. The cool part is I can use this small storage, like for boxes like this, really thin thin boxes like this, I can store them up underneath, and they'll always be protected and out of the way, and never be seen because it'll be surrounded by Lego. What I'll probably do is once I get monetized and can afford Lego, because we don't have a Lego store here, but because I had to get bricks and pieces and all that stuff to do it, I'm going to build a wall around there. But what I'm probably going to do is have it where one of them, maybe about that wide, will be just a part that will come off. Just remove it. I can get in there if I need to. I can put it back in. It'll be seamless. But yeah. It'll be a wall going around it, probably with the stairs going up where people could park and walk up there and visit Santa Claus and all that kind of thing. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing or not. Probably be a permanent thing like it's been. My winter village has been up there forever. And now the train goes around that. It actually continues on now. It doesn't stop where it used to. It actually, instead of turning left, it turns right and goes all around and comes back behind it. But it doesn't actually come back. But it ends at the wall, but like it did originally. Just a little bit longer now for the train, which I have not run yet to see if it works. I just push it to make sure that the track is straight and level and all that stuff. Oh, that was a pain to do. It's all made of wood, shelves and wood. Plus, it's removable. So I can actually take the Winter Village off and take the shelves right off. They're not attached. I just take them off, so they're modular. And I can just use the table again. They're directly on the table. Makes it a little easier. Because I thought, well, we need a little bit more storage space for smaller boxes like these and thinner boxes. I don't want to keep them in here on this chair all the time. So, but yeah, I finished that last week. I think it looks a lot better with it raised like that. Heck of a lot better. I mean, I have a video on a little Lego, so I think it's not my latest video. It's a video before that. So the last one was that music video. So yeah, it's the one before that. But yeah, that's what I did last week. I think I finished it before my last live. Can't remember if it was that before or after, but might have been the next day. But other than that, I just built the set that I showed you behind me, the car there. And then I'm just waiting for my monitor to come in. The one that I've been waiting for like a week and a half. They keep saying it's stuck in Palmalo, something like that, California. Just stuck there. It's been there for like a week. And it's FedEx. We were talking about that on your channel, I think. It's still stuck there. Hasn't moved. Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, it's here in state. Come on. It's in Southern California. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like FedEx just doesn't want to do anything. And it said it wasn't even supposed to be sent yet. It wasn't even supposed to be here until December 10th. Like a month. It was going to take like a month. That's what Lego happens with Lego because it comes from Denmark. And it said it'd be here around December 10th or before. And it left. It got sent like 2 days after I ordered it. I was like, well, that's quick because it was on back order. So I just happened to order it just in time. So it came back in, I guess, and they just sent it early. And it's like FedEx turns around and says, oh, it's early? Well, we're just going to wait till December 9th to get it on the truck and take it there and be delivered on December 10th. I swear that's what they do. They've done that to me so many times. Even the last package I got was like 3 days early. It was here in town 3 days before it actually got delivered. It took them 3 days to deliver the thing, and that was USPS. Yeah, I was like, what the heck? What do they do? Hold on to it? Oh, we would wait till the last minute to deliver it. Yeah.
And that's what FedEx did to me one time. I ordered a bunch of medical supplies.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a wound on my foot and had a wound back, and I needed the supplies yesterday, and I was sitting in a central office for like 3 days.
Yeah. USPS does that a lot too. I don't know about UPS. I don't ever use UPS, so they're pretty expensive. But FedEx is really known for that, though. They hold on to it. I swear they if you ask them about it, they'll say, no, we're not allowed to hold on to it. Well, you're not allowed to, but who's going to do anything about it? What are you going to do? Go to your front door and say, I want my package now. I mean, what can you do,
Yeah.
My biggest story is the tires. Remember that? I think I told you about that, where I ordered 4 tires the same time, all 4 brand new tires, for my truck, because the tires were bald and I couldn't drive it. And I saw them being sent, and since they were all sent the same day, and somewhere in the process they forgot to put the fourth one on the truck. So three of them got here. And I was like, "What the heck is the fourth one?" Well, it was stuck in like Kentucky or something like that for like a week before they actually delivered it here finally. So I couldn't even put the things on the truck until I got the fourth one in. Yeah, it's like ridiculous, and it was FedEx, same exact thing. So it did get delivered the day they said we were going to get delivered the second time, though. The fourth one did. So yeah, I just took the three and stuck them inside the truck in the back seat and whatever and waited. Hurry up and wait, you know?
Yeah.
And when I got the fourth one, I had them all put on at the same time. I mean, I do have my spare, which is pretty much the same type of tire, but I didn't want to do that and have something go wrong, you know? It was still a mud tire, but I didn't want to spend the money taking that off, having to get it put back on again, you know? I had a package come in. Yeah, Cricket says she had a package come in, sat in Maumee, Ohio, 8 miles away. Then it went clear to Flint, Michigan, a long ways from me before it came back to me. Yeah, that happens to us here a lot. We have what it is. Our sorter is in Medford, Oregon. We don't have a sorter here in Eureka or anywhere near here. So everything, any kind of USPS, it's gotten better. But USPS will send it there to have it sorted, and then it comes back here again. And that's when it actually gets, sorted to Eureka or Arcata or McKinleyville or whatever. There's a couple of towns here, but now it's gotten faster here. But when they first switched it over, where they closed the sorting office here, oh my God, you could send something across the street. It took 3 days. I could just walk it over there. It'd be so much faster, you know.
Yeah.
But now it takes about a day, next day, if it's across the street or in town. But yeah. I think that's probably what it is. It's probably sorting. That's why postage is so high. Yeah, our postage is sky high here. I mean, I sent my what were they called? Not prizes, but I sent some Lego out, a couple of Lego sets. It was this little red guy right here. This little guy right here, and I think I sent about 3 of them out, all different times, and he cost $10. $10 for a little Lego set. It cost me $11 to send the thing, USPS. It cost me more to send it than it did for the set itself. But I said I was going to send it to him, so it was like a little contest I was running or something. I can't remember what it was. It got a little too expensive, so I stopped doing it. So, I mean, come on. I spent $30 on those. I spent $64, $65 on just the postage for all 3 of those. Yeah, one went to Dawn Yarn Doll, and I think it was either 2 or 3 of them. I can't remember how many were, but Dawn helped me out a lot, so I sent her one too during those as a little thank you. So hers was actually the cheapest because she's in state. She's in California. I think hers was only about $6 to send it. At least it was less than what the thing was worth, But I think the most expensive one went to oh God, where was it? It was somewhere east, and it was like almost $15 to send that thing. And it's just a little tiny box. It's smaller than these. It was even smaller than this, by half the size, even half as thin. So, and it cost that much. It didn't weigh a pound. I sent a package to a Dakota and one to Japan. I don't even want to know how much that one was. Both the same size. $17 for Japan, $26 to South Dakota. It was cheaper for Japan. What? It was Don and Jessica. Yeah, I think there was another one too, in China. Yeah, yep. China and Jessica were the 2 that won, and then Don is the one I just gifted as a thank you. I think I think I actually had one more too. So remember, Lydia, you came close to winning, and you actually it was the one that rolls your name, and I think your name was right before them. I think that was China. I think that won instead. I think it was only you 2 that were in there too. It was just going from one to the other. So you had a 50-50 chance of winning. I was thinking about sending it to you anyway, Lydia, but they still do have them. They're only $10,
Yeah,
but
what some people do now is they'll like order something on Amazon and they'll have Amazon
Sent straight, right? And then that way it doesn't cost anything. Yeah. It was military. Yeah, military bases are a little bit cheaper. So I don't know. Japan, I don't know what it costs from Japan to here, but I know going to Japan, it depends on who you go through too. Because you got to realize if you do USPS from here to Japan, they actually have to transfer over to I can't remember what that's called. Like LPS or something like that. I know it starts with L or something like that. It has to transfer over to another one. They do the same thing, vice versa. Yeah, UPS. I think that transfers to DHL in Japan. Same thing as Canada. You have Amazon. Lydia says she has Amazon. Yeah, I would buy Lego from Amazon, but you don't get the points. You get VIP points, or they call them. What do they call them now? There's a different name for them now, but they're basically VIP points. You can use those points to purchase other Lego or get money off. And that's weird. Japan's cheaper. Sending to Japan. But yeah, anywhere overseas is, I don't know. I can imagine what these big sets of Lego cost for Denmark to here. Probably why they charge so much for these sets. It doesn't say on the box. It looks like Cricket just dropped her link. But yeah, I got this from Mr. Yarn Doll back like a year ago. It's a tool set, like a screwdriver set. He did that through Amazon. It was sent straight to me from Amazon. I didn't know who it was from. I was like, what the heck? So, yeah, I need a T6 star wrench because I got a little technical. I'm getting a little technical here. Got this hard drive here. It's one of these external ones. I opened it up, and the hard drive filled on me. So right now it's got it sitting in there. See, one of those baby hard drives. So I've been working on this. You got the USB 3 right there. You can see it on the end. You see right there on the end there. You just pull that off, and now it's SATA. So, but I just keep it on there so I don't lose it. But I need these little tiny screws right here, and they're T6. So what I got to do is I got to take these off here on the back because this is safe to take off. Okay, and I have another drive, exactly the same one, right here. Yeah, I got two of them exactly the same. I'm going to take this one off and try to put it on this one. Hopefully, I can get the data off of it because this has got stuff on it I don't want to lose. This one here I don't care about too much. But if that doesn't work, then I got to do with one thing I don't want to do, and that is actually open it up. Because what it is, if I turn it on, I won't bother plugging it in because I don't want to mess up the computer or something like that. But if I plug it in, you can't hear nothing except for the motor. You can hear it spinning, but you don't hear like it's reading or it's not clicking. It's not doing anything. I mean, it's literally doing nothing. So I think what it is the needle isn't exactly in the park position where it's actually to the side, but it's just barely there, just enough to where it doesn't come on. So I'm hoping it's not actually on the disc. If it is, you have to spin the disc and get the needle over. You have to physically move it over. But even opening it up, you get dust on it very easily, and that could ruin it.
Head could be stuck.
Yeah, the head is stuck. Yeah, that's why.
Sometimes what you could do is you power it up and then tap on it because sometimes I'll free the head.
Yeah, I tried to do that. I don't want to break the thing and make it where I can't, and I don't know which way to tap it. That's the thing, in the right direction. So I tried to tap it and nothing happened. So the other one, the one I showed you that's actually out of its case, this one here, same exact drive. I've had it out of its case. This one clicks. It clicks really bad. And it's loud. I could probably sit right here with the microphone way up there. You can probably hear it if I turn it on. It goes really fast. So, but it doesn't have anything important on it. So But yeah, I'm just gonna probably call that one done. I keep all my hard drives anyways. I mean, even when they're bad, I just keep them because you never know. You could probably use it for parts or something like that. So and I got a whole bunch of the bigger hard drives. I got like three of them. One's an IDE, which is completely obsolete now. I got these two here as a TA. In case you're wondering, yeah, I'm getting a little technical here. That's IDE. It's the old-fashioned pins. I hated those things. Trying to plug those things in, line them up. I mean, they got easier in the end because it has that little notch where it only goes in one way. But still, it was a pain. And I got two SATAs.
I hated that too.
I hated those things. And the big old thick ribbon cable, it's about that wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you end up bending the pins and all that.
Yeah, I've been bent so many times on those. Yeah. But they could be bent back. I mean, but it's still a pain. But yeah, I got these two here. One's the Seagate 160 gigabyte, which isn't anything. And then this one here, I think is 250. Yeah, it's 250 Western Digital. And these are still good. They're just huge. You know?
I haven't worked on it yet. Of course, I did like a couple little things, and that was it.
Yeah, I found these. I found them in a free box in the computer, and I couldn't lug the computer around, so I just pulled the hard drives out. Same thing with this one. This one here is an 80 gigabyte, the IDE one. I mean, you can still get IDE. You can get SATA to IDE and vice versa. I think it's SATA if you had to. My computer's all SATA, so I couldn't do an IDE if I wanted to without an adapter. I think I have an IDE card around here somewhere that I could put in there, but I don't have any more slots left. But why am I going to do that for an 80 gig hard drive that has nothing on it? You know, it doesn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
Kitty cat. They put up a little kitty cat. Have you worked on your wooden box lately? Cricket asked that.
No, I haven't. I did like a couple old things. That was a while ago, and every time I sit down, something else comes up.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's always something, right? I always say, it's always something. When you want to do something important, something more important comes up.
Yeah.
I almost choked. Trying to be a Pepsi fish. Went down the wrong pipe, which actually is impossible. Did you know that? When you say, oh, it went down the wrong pipe, it can't go down the wrong pipe. It's called drowning. You would literally drown if it was actually going down the wrong pipe. What poopers? You see Daddy talking to himself? Wondering what's going on? Well, you act like you're going to jump up here, but I know you're not. His tail's just a wagging like crazy. Come here. What? You want in the hole now? You're trying to get up here the hard way. I got like one of those chairs, and arms have like between the chair and the arm, it's just enough to where you can't get through it. And he doesn't want to jump over the arm. What?
Yeah.
What? What? He's talking. You want to talk? Where's the poopers? Where's the poopers? Where's the poopers? I don't know if you can hear him with the mic though. He's kind of going like that.
Layla, what are you doing?
Where's the kitty?
What are you getting
She's
into?
talking to the kitty. Where's the kitty? Where's the kitty? Now he's freaking out. Where's the kitty? Where's the kitty? Where's the kitty? He wants your kitty cat. He doesn't get to see kitties much. He doesn't hurt them though. He loves kitties. He tried to chase one time just to play, but he was on leash, so I stopped him. But he scared the heck out of the cat. He took off like a bell, you know where. He's never hurt a cat. He's hurt a dog before. Or should I say, the dog hurt him, actually. That was a different story. We were at a campsite one time. We had him tied up, so he had no way out of it. And these three dogs were like two spots down. And the lady goes and lets them off their leashes. And first place they went, straight to him. I asked him to find Arnie's kitty. He was looking for his kitty.
What did Daddy do?
He's like, yeah, he touching me. But yeah, they went after him, and there's nothing he could do about it. Oh, I was pissed. Didn't hurt him or anything like that, but they're pretty big dogs too.
Yeah.
We called the was not the sheriff, but the rangers or whatever. They came over and she tried to claim that he went after them. I was like, no, he was on a leash. He was on a leash even when they showed up. He was on a leash the whole time. He had a German Shepherd try to eat him one time. That was loose, not on a leash. Back when we were homeless, but German Shepherd went after him, and he was on a leash then too. You got a bump.
I don't know who it got.
Like you scratched it or something. A bed sore. Lydia's on my channel here, and Arnie's here too. Got a few people on Lego work, Lego. We got two on each channel. What?
We need to buy bed sheets. That's
Yeah, I know. Now I got three on Lego World. Look, she had a nosebleed last night, evidently.
this morning, right after you walked out the door.
Oh,
As soon as you walked out the door, I started sneezing that blood.
oh, that's what it was, then, because you were sneezing so hard.
No, I wasn't sneezing. I was wearing because I felt
You
so sick.
sniffling? Why does Lego World have so many numbers on it? It's got a number on it, but yeah, there's hardly anybody in here. Weird. So there was 7 there, and it drops down to 5, and it drops down to 2, and back to like 20, and back down to 2 again. I don't know why it does that. Probably one of those automatic things or whatever. I don't know. Try to give you time or whatever. What, Clippers? Hey, where are you? Oh, there's your tail. I see your tail. But you got 3 in here now. Ken was here. He was in Lego World. I don't know if he's in the Lego or not. Or both. He's the friend of mine that lives here locally. He comes in. He says hello once in a while. He just kind of keeps it running. He's kind of like a mod, but not official mod.
Yeah.
He'll let me know on my phone if something's going on. Because he has my text number, my phone number. He has my phone number, my text, and I think he also has my Facebook. So he can get hold of me one way or the other. Like if I lose connection or something like that, I can actually message him and say, hey, let everybody know, because he'll be on live. I can say, let everybody know my internet went off or something like that. You go on there and say, his internet went off. He'll be ending it as soon as, like what happened to you. He could do that. That's the kind of mod he is.
Yeah.
So he's not an official mod. He's not blue or anything like that. He's more like a local mod, I guess you say. I mean, if it came down to it, I could just drive to his place and shut it down, but I don't know. If it came down to something like that. Yeah, yours did shut down for like a half hour later after you went off. I don't know if it was automatic or what. Or did you finally get on there and was able to shut it off? That day, I think it was like Wednesday, I think it was, or Thursday.
Layla.
She wants to be in the camera too.
Yeah.
Can she hear me?
Yeah.
Did you know animals cannot actually see the screen at all? Cats and dogs can't see the screen. Even though they look like they're looking at it, they can see movement, but they can't recognize that it's a person. It just looks like a fuzzy thing moving around. Yeah, they can't see 2D or 3D, for that matter. They see everything flat. So yeah, when the dog seems to be watching TV, he's just seeing something move, but he doesn't recognize it as a TV. Same thing with cats.
Yeah.
They see real life better than they see anything else. They can't even see through glass. Dogs and cats both can't see through glass, even though they look like they can, but they can't. They can see mirrors though. Definitely can see mirrors,
Yeah.
but they can't see through glass. It's just white to them. And they see nothing on the other side. It's the way that their eyes are made. I don't know, Cricket's still in here. So I don't know if she heard you answer her thing, but you do have the text, right? Yeah, you have the chat. So yeah, I made you mod that way. You can mod either way. Got 3 in Little Lego, 2 in Yarn Lego World. We got somebody else in there now. She came in, said hello. I can't pronounce that name, so we are in the USA, California, or I am anyway. Arnie, which is on my panel from Little Lego, he's I wonder where he's from. Where are you from, Arnie?
I'm in southeast Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I have 2 channels, so if you want, you can go to Little Lego, just plain Little Lego. That's my main channel. It's a wider screen, and I also have Arnie here on panel. You can just hear him on that one. So this is kind of like my secondary channel. Yeah, I think Nightbot does count as it counts in the number because just when that changed to went up a digit, Nightbot came on. And then it goes back down to what it was again. So every time Nightbot comes up, it goes up a digit. And then drops again. I guess he goes in and out. Is that the TV you found?
No, it's another one.
That's about the same size as my little one above here.
Yeah, I have 2 TVs on here, 2 RCAs.
Well, you said that.
This one was in my bedroom, so I've been kind of switching things now, and probably have 3 TVs hooked up
Yes, sir.
to HDMI adapter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you can have a 3rd monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Routes the video through a USB port.
Yep. Oh, yes. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, USB. And we don't have to have a video card. USB is pretty slow. I don't know how they can do that with USB. USB is really slow compared to HDMI.
And I also have another one, USB to HDMI, but this one I can hook video into it and record video.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had one of those. I thought of getting a USB one, but I have 4 ports on my computer here, so I can have up to 4 screens at the same time. I have 3 right now, so.
Yeah.
The hardest one was one above, having to get a mount for it and everything that would work with it. And I almost didn't work with it. I almost got the wrong mount, but luckily it does. It just sticks out on the top a little bit, which is fine because it's a place to mount my microphone. My microphone mounts right to it because there's holes in it.
Yeah.
So that actually worked out. And it's just the right angle where I can still see the chat.
Oh, be quiet.
You're being beeped. Yeah, speaking of beeping, it's funny because I don't hear the beeping on this one, on Little Lego. I hear it on the other one when someone comes on that one, but not on Little Lego. I don't know why. Maybe it's off or something. So, but yeah, we're in California, or I'm in California. He's in Wisconsin. So, but yeah, the name is up above here on Lego World, my main channel. So. You taking it apart or something?
No, I'm plugging the HDMI cable in.
Oh, HDMI
I have
cables
one
are
of
expensive.
these right angle adapters on.
Yeah, That's what I need, is one of those.
And on there so that cable's like hidden out the way you don't see it, sticking out on the side.
Right. Yeah. I have them behind the, I think I had this one behind the desk, and actually one's a HDMI to USB-C or whatever. Oh no, display port, mini display port. The other one's an actually HDMI cable. So the display port goes to display to HDMI to go in my, or HDMI to, I don't know. That one's directly though. This one here is HDMI. It's got the HDMI to the mini port. So that's all that's on the back of my car. There's 4 of those. But yeah, I have this. Where is that at? I have a card reader that has weird adapter on it. Up here, I bet you I know exactly what it is. Yeah, when she got on her live, she I got stuff here up on the desk, and what she does, she stuffs everything into a box every time. And I see her look for everything again. So where is that thing? I know it's in here somewhere. It should be in here somewhere. Where'd it go? Got this weird adapter. I don't know if anybody in here has seen it. I've seen one. Gotta find the thing. It's a tiny little card. Oh, there it is. It's a card reader. Check that out. You ever seen this before? I got my card reader here. If I pull this off, I broke it. No, just kidding. It's a USB-C for that, but it's female, obviously, to USB.
Yeah.
I think it's so tiny. I swear I probably lost the other one. I think I had 2 of them originally. But I had to get that. That way I can have a card reader. You see there's a card in there right now. That's actually for my camera. I just keep it in there so I don't lose it. Yeah. That's my little card reader. It doesn't read every single time either. I think it's because of the adapter. I think I got 2 of them for like $10 or something like that on AliExpress or something. Can't remember what it was. Or Amazon or something. I think it was Amazon, now that I think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a bigger. Mine's just a tiny little thing. I swear.
Yeah,
I think it's
micro SD reader.
Oh, micro? Yeah, so it's the same. It's really tiny. I got that close up to the camera too. You're seeing it about life size. It reminds me of a Bluetooth dongle. It's about the size of a Bluetooth dongle, the ones you see now.
Yeah.
But it's just a tiny little thing. But I put it on there so I don't lose it. So, yeah, Ken gave me this. And
yeah, with me, most of my stuff uses micro SD.
Yeah, I have the adapters for that. I have tons of adapters. If you need an adapter, I can send you one. I got hundreds of them. You can only use one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got plenty of them too.
Yeah, I know. You come every micro USB you get comes with an adapter. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like every one I've ever gotten. But it was in this one. I have these little cases. Oh, I think I see it. Hiding underneath here. Yeah, that's it. I got all my flash drives and things like that in it. And I got hard drives down here, the ones I showed you earlier. I just closed the thing like an idiot. Come on, is it open or closed? Yeah, see, I got 3 of them right here. There's another one. So there's 4. And I know I got more than that. There's a 5th one right there. Hiding underneath everything. There's a 5th one. How many more I got? Yeah, that's all you see in there. And I got a couple little cases for the we call it Nintendo Switch. This here I haven't used in ages. USB to internet, you know, to Wi-Fi or whatever.
Yeah.
And I got all my flash drives. I actually got Windows, I think it's Windows 7 all the way through 11 on this one, on this flash drive here. And so that's my installer flash drive. It installs a lot faster on that than it does off of a disk.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep it on there. It's bootable. But yeah, I got 5 of them right here. 5 of these adapters, and I never even use them. Everything is always micro SD now. So they make them
most
smaller and
everything
smaller.
these days.
They make them smaller and smaller. That way you can lose them easier. And I think I got one for my phone, and I think I got one for the projector in there, and then a few other ones for some reason. That's why I have so many adapters. And you always come with new adapters. So
Yeah.
the only thing it uses regular size. Actually, I think my camera uses regular size because that one right there in that reader. That's for the camera, my movie camera that I'm using right now. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I have that even uses regular SD card, regular size. Everything else is micro. The phones are always micro. Always have been.
Yeah, each of my phones have a card in them.
Yeah, mine does too. SD card. I have the SD card and I also have the card too. This
Yeah,
one here,
every time when I got a new phone, I got a card for it right away.
yeah,
Just so
so did I.
extra space.
Yep, I use it as a secondary hard drive or whatever. But yeah, this reader only has the 2, and then it has a USB to extend the USB, so you don't lose the USB plug-in. So, but it works.
Yeah.
That way, I can take my camera anywhere, and then I can put it in there and read it back on my computer and be able to pull everything off of it. So, makes it a little easier that way. Oh, got somebody else came in who I do not know what they said. In Lego World there. Somebody from Russia. It seems like Russia or Germany. I can't tell if it's Russian or German. Somewhere overseas. But I can't even pronounce. I can't even tell what it says as far as the name. I always wonder what those keyboards look like. You know what? I've never seen a overseas like Japanese keyboard. Have you ever seen a Japanese keyboard or anything like that? Doesn't actually have the letters; it has the symbols instead.
Yeah, I've seen them on YouTube though.
I have no idea what. I've never seen one ever. I've only seen American ones. Makes me wonder if they have as many keys or if they have less keys. Oh, I got a little tiny screwdriver right here. Sitting in my lap. Must have came out of the box. Out of curiosity, I wonder if this will actually pull these off. I don't want to strip it, but I'm going to see if I'll actually turn these. I don't think it will. It's just a whole Phillips. No, it doesn't grab it. About the same size. See, that's about the size I need right there, but I need a torque one, a star. Tiny, tiny, tiny little tip. Something I'm going to be doing on the first. And then I got to replace the hard drive, get another hard drive. That way I can copy all the stuff over to that. Let's see, I'll put this in here so I don't lose this little screwdriver. It's a little Phillips screwdriver, like a precision Phillips. I don't know where to put it. Put it there. Well, actually, let that thing close. I don't know if it's going to let it close or not. It's a perfect size, but it's in there great. Yeah, it closes. Pretty much, yeah, it closes. Yeah, it's just a little precision screwdriver I have. It just found probably in that box that had all the junk in it. But like I said, there's not much going on. Like I said, I kept it to be announced because I have no idea what we're going to talk about. So we're due.
Yeah.
How long have I been on? Where's my time? 1 hour. Been on an hour on both. Well, they're only like 1 minute apart too. I've never transferred it over that fast from one channel to the other. I'm getting quicker and quicker, I guess. Going over. It used to take me almost 5 minutes to go to get this channel running, and then that one come on. I don't know, Arnie. You think I should do the same screen on this one on my other one too, or you think I should keep it as the vertical?
probably do the same screen on both.
On both. Because I
I
know
would-
with vertical, it shows up on the shorts feed is what it does. That's why I do it that way.
yeah.
But I get a lot of trolls. Haven't got any trolls yet. I mean, Lydia said I had one. I didn't see anybody, but I was moving by so fast. Vertical. Ken says he likes vertical. So
Cool.
we got to vote for one of each. It's tied now.
I can operate 3 TVs with 1 remote.
Yeah, I know. This happens to me. Drives me nuts. I've had so many times I've hit my remote and forgot that it does both and both of them turn off. I'm like, I'll hit it again. One will turn on, but the other one won't turn on. So I have to physically go over and turn it on with a button because if I turn that one on, the other one won't turn off. I did that one time. Kept going back and forth. I figured it out. Yeah, see, there's my remote right here. It's a Vizio remote. So,
Yeah, just make sure I have my remote like in the center of them all and
yeah.
turn them all on at once.
I have mine sitting over here, but it's pointed just right where it gets both of them. I haven't had any problems yet since I sat it there. So it's sat in the perfect spot. Are you cold or something? Yeah, we had to turn our fan off that was in the window. Finally turned that off last night because it get like 30 degrees in here. What?
It's back over. I turned it.
You turned it back on? Oh my God. No wonder it's so cold in here. I swear, when I'm hot, she's cold. When I'm cold, she's hot.
That's how it works in my family.
What the heck, Artie? Squeeze you. He's just laughing. He's on the floor. He ripped it. TMI. I think he broke his mic. I can't hear you.
I was getting Layla knocked on the floor.
Yeah, blame it on the cat.
You blame it on MJ.
Yeah.
Doesn't you dare. Okay.
Michelle asked Lydia if you're watching the game. Lydia,
Turn my attention away from it. I let my voice take it from here.
Lydia's asking you if you watch it while you're not watching the game.
When it
Got a
does.
little quick lag there for a second.
When it does.
She's sitting in the hallway.
Oh,
Another
great.
country heard from. It's got loud. Another country heard from. I guess she's talking about the noise cricket is. God, Ernie, I can smell it all the way here. Jeez, I'm in California.
No, that's your part.
I didn't do that.
Yours
There's a
stinks
kitty
so
cat.
bad it makes me want to vomit.
There's this kitty cat. Whoopers, you want to see the kitty? Where's the kitty? Oh, you took it down. Too late. Same color as you. Black. Pretty much.
Yours stinks so bad it makes me want to
Hey,
vomit.
kitty. He's freaking out too now. She's talking to me. Kitty. She say hi. You saying hello. You can come up here, Poopers, and see the kitty.
Oh,
Come here. You want to see the kitty? Come on.
get up here. Get up on
He
Daddy.
doesn't want to hurt me. That's why he doesn't want to
Come
get
here.
Come here. You want to see the kitty? I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Like I said, I can't. I'll show your kitty cat. Look, kitty, right here. See the kitty? See, you can't see it. Right there, see it? He hears it. Where's kitty? He's looking in the closets and everything now. He's opened the closet, he's looking in there.
Yeah, because my candy canes are in here and I want to know if they work.
Where's the kitty?
Okay.
He hears it. Like I said, they can't see TV screens, but you can't see it on the screen there. What in the heck are you doing? Oh, those candy canes. I think you meant actual candy canes.
No, I need to know if I might need to replace
They
them.
can't just, I think the lights are out on them. At least one of them are. I think they're blown.
We had these up in the motel.
I've had those for about 4 years, if not longer.
No, we've had them when we had the motel, 2019.
Yeah, that's 5 years. Yeah,
At the other end.
this end plugs in. That stuff plugs into that one.
Yeah, these are supposed to go in the.
They look like spears. Don't poke me with it. Stop. If I let go, that will poke me. Yeah, she's got these right here, these candy cane things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put them in the window.
We've had these forever. I think one of them has blown lights. Or blown light bulb.
We'll just have to go to Eureka and I'll
There's not really anywhere to
At
put them
Walmart.
around here, though. They don't allow,
Window.
they don't allow us to put anything inside. Yeah, we have to hang them up in the window. But
That's what we did.
they got spikes on the bottom that go on the ground. But I can't remember if they even work or not. We couldn't find them when we were in the motel, but now we can find them.
No, they were up in the window.
Look them in the kitchen or the bathroom right there, see if it would work. If I remember right, one's blown. We are not playing, she said. Lydia said we're not playing.
Yes, we are.
Says we're not playing good, Michelle. We're not playing good, Michelle. That's what she said. Okay.
I walked away. If I walk away, the boys will kick ass.
So they're not doing good. They work?
I have them plugged in.
And they're completely blown. Is there a switch?
No, there's never been a switch.
Oh, they've been banging around so much, I'm not surprised they don't work.
They were hanging up in the window of the motel because we had them spread out along with Christmas lights.
Looking. There's this right here. Oh, that's just extra bulbs.
Yeah.
There's no switch.
Mm, I see why.
They're blown.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, I know.
So I will have to replace them by going to Walmart.
Yeah, they're expensive too. I think they were like 30
Oh, they're
bucks.
not.
Oh, I got them. They were like 30 bucks for those three.
Expensive.
They're all wired together. You can probably just stuff some regular white lights in there, probably. Each one would have its own plug-in, though.
Oh, we gotta put the lights back up in our bedroom window.
What, did we fell?
No, not those ones, the Christmas ones.
What do you mean, they fell or something?
I took them out of the window
Oh.
because we was putting the bed up too much and cleaning. So I didn't want them to get busted.
You said
like the ones in
2
here.
minutes and 17 seconds left in the game. 21-30. They've won every single game, I thought. I don't think they're not winning this one. Maybe they're getting too cocky. Like when I was in high school, the whole 3 years, we went undefeated. All 3 years. I don't know what's happened since, but we were the Red Devils. Springville, Utah. Where Footloose is filmed. That's the reason why they didn't want to actually film it at our high school, because we were the Red Devils. Instead, they filmed it at Payson High, which both schools are gone now, so both high schools are gone. They tore them down in April. So if you're looking for the school that Footloose filmed, you won't find it. One of them's still there, but because there's 3 in all, but the main 2 of them are gone, or they're going to be rebuilt. But what are you yelling at? Oh, her mom. Her mom's saying something about the game. She's on the phone with her mom. Yeah, she's on the phone with her mom. Video chat. But yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here doing a thing. I was thinking about building this one here, but I don't know where the hell to put it. It's all set. had like forever. This thing right here. Kind of looks interesting to build. Like a satellite or something. We'll thinking about building that one. Keeps looking at me going, build me, build me, build me. Looks like actually it looks like a docking station. It's like slash satellite. Yeah, space station, that's what it is. Oh, it's an actual space station in real life. It shows a real picture right there on the corner. So lunar space station right there. There's the real one right there.
Yeah.
And then it has it looks pretty much like it. But I just been kind of curious what kind of parts are in it. I'll either part it out or build it. I don't know which, but where the heck would I put it? My city. I'd have to hang it up or something. Oh, there's a light brick in it. Yeah, I get so excited about a light brick, huh? I got a few of these. I got this one. I think I got another set like this somewhere right here. I think I got the Mars rover. Right here. Yeah. That right there. I got that one. These suckers are about 5 years old in the box. I got these in 2020. They've been sitting in the box ever since. Goes to show how many sets I have. I got some bags up here. I got this one will probably go in the city. This will go in the winter village. It's a snow pile. I'll probably build this one next actually, because since I have winter village. Yeah, all three of these are retired too. They don't make them anymore. But this one here would be kind of fun to have in the winter village. Someday we'll get that all plated. The winter village would be white for snow. So I don't know what to call it though. It'll be kind of like it's not really a amusement park, but it'd be kind of like a family park type thing, you know? And be all year round. But during Christmas time, I have a real tree I want to put in the middle of it, you know, but we also have a Lego Christmas tree, which is more like my size of Christmas tree. About foot high, about my size. One of these days I'll get that maybe and put that there for Christmas instead. Be kind of cool to have real lights on it. They have light bricks, but not light bricks like that. I don't know why they don't put lights in the dots. I call them dots, the single round studs, the studded ones that are round. They should put lights in those, what they should do. Different colors. And then you can just take those and you can put them anywhere and they can just light up green, blue, red, yellow. Might be too expensive. I mean, they're only like a penny a piece, those things. With a light, it'd probably make them about maybe 25 cents each with an LED inside them. And then how would you get the battery? They'd have to be wired.
Yeah.
Which what's the difference? I mean, Christmas lights are wired, right? They should sell Christmas lights like that are Lego. You know, for Christmas decoration Lego. Couldn't be too expensive. Maybe for a set of 20 of them, maybe probably like $20. So it would be a little bit more in regular light bulbs. I mean, you know Lego how expensive they get, so
Yeah.
it would be handy though, because then I can buy that Christmas tree, the Lego Christmas tree, and I can actually just string it with those lights and just click them right on the studs. Boom, it's done. Plug it in, boom. The way LEDs are now, they're so tiny you can get just about anything. They do have the little tiny LEDs you can get like at the dollar store. They're really tiny bulbs, but those won't work with the clear ones. But yeah, I would say the block itself would have to be clear, you know.
Yeah, I have some sets
Or colored, because they do have red, they got yellow, they got green, they got blue, clear, translucent, you know what I mean, clear, see-through. And all they have to do is put a white light in there, you know. But I don't think you can make them yourself. I don't see how you'd be able to make them yourself, but even those little tiny light bulbs, probably could. Yeah, if you're really good at drilling, I guess you can just drill the backside where the stud goes in. You drill that just right and not go all the way through. You put the bulb in there, glue it in there with maybe a hot glue gun or something like that. It should still, connect. And you just make a little slot for the wire to come through the side of it, and you just keep doing that going through. You can make them. Maybe that's why you don't do them. Maybe people make them themselves. I should look on a website for custom Lego. See if anybody's made something like that. Maybe they have a Christmas light set. But then by the time you get that made, the dollar store won't blow anyways. Those dollar store ones don't last very long. That would be kind of cool. Lydia's still here, she says. But yeah, they got the Christmas tree at Walmart. They got like 500,000 of them over there. We also have the Santa Claus, what do you call it? Reindeer, the one that I did a couple weeks ago. That's in my city. That's up on the drive-in screen. It's on top. He's sitting on top of the drive-in screen. Oh, with 9 reindeer on it. I had to buy 2 sets to do that. It was cheaper to buy a set than to buy the reindeer separately. It was costing me like $40 for the reindeer themselves. It cost $40 for the set, so I managed to get the whole set. And I've got the sleigh. Yeah. I got the sleigh back in here somewhere. Where is the sleigh? I don't even see it. Oh, there he is. He's behind Mickey Mouse right here. Just a sleigh, no reindeer. And then I had the 9th reindeer already, which is actually Rudolph. You want to see it? I don't know if you saw it, Ernie. I'll go get it real quick. It's really long. I mean, let me go get it. Oh, I dropped the Blu-rays here, everyone.
What do you want, sassy cat?
All right, I'll be right back. I showed this before. I'll show it again.
Lila's on the floor beside me, complaining and getting into stuff as usual.
What? You lost?
Ow! You little brat.
She's mad. He lost. She's screaming because he lost. There you go. Actually, I was smart. I put it on play. So I don't lose it. Yeah, see, I move it. So you got oh, I just liked it. That's why I was skipping around. Yeah, I got sleigh, and I got Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. The Mrs. Santa Claus is actually Santa Claus body with the regular girl head on it. That's how I did that. I had an extra Santa Claus too. And I got all 9 reindeer, including Rudolph. And this is what can help me do this. Look at Rudolph's nose. It's actually red. See that? He's actually got a red nose. Yeah, can't help me with that. He got some. First, I was using a marker, and that just kept rubbing off. And he said, "Why don't you use fingernail polish?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that would work." And it worked. It's still there. So that way his nose is red. So yeah, I just scratched off the black that was there, and then I painted it with a fingernail polish. Made it red.
That works.
Yeah, it worked. So yeah, it's kind of like a mock of that I made, and I have it sitting up on the working drive-in. So I haven't had that thing on in a long time. I'm actually going to be redoing that drive-in. But I've got a receiver I'm going to use instead of a laptop. I just got to figure out how to adapt it into it. I think it has DVD. It has a composite out. So I have to get the composite out, get a composite out to VGA because it's the old VGA plug.
Yeah.
Pins. I think they make those.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So I'll just get an adapter to do that. That way I can still plug it in because the sound doesn't come from the monitor anyways. and I put speakers up underneath or something like that. It came with speakers. And then I could just make a little shelf or something like that underneath for the receiver itself to just stay there and it doesn't have to be moved. That way my laptop, because the laptop crashes after a while. And then I can run it through with a I just have I have a couple movies on a flash drive. I just put them on a DVD. I can burn them onto a DVD where they just play in loop constantly if I want to. I think I got the Lego movie and Lego movie 2 on a flash drive some more for that. Probably plugged into the laptop right now. My old laptop that doesn't stay on very long. So, but yeah, that's the Santa Claus and his reindeer that I built. God, it's been about a month since I did this one. So he's got a bunch of little stuff inside, toys and stuff in the back. It's actually got 2 of everything, pretty much. Got a little guitar, got a teddy bear. You kind of upside down there. Got Santa Claus's bag. That's how small they are. Got a little bag right there. Sometimes they use this as a turkey. Can you believe that? They've used those as turkeys before. Got some skis. And then a couple presents in there that I got attached in there so they don't get moved around. So, my shirt's getting caught on the reindeer. So yeah, I just extended it as what I did with the other set on the reindeer because usually it comes to right here. That's how long the original is. It's only 4 of them.
Yeah.
And I just extended it with the other connectors and everything, built in the same way. What I'd love to do is have the names right here on the side connected to these studs right here, like on a 2x1 tile, and have the names on them going all the way down. Of course, Rudolph, you don't need him named. You know where he is. In the front there by himself. But I can have the names all on a tile on each one. I don't even know all the names. Donner, Blixen, Comet Cupid. I think that's all I know. That's just 4 of them. But I mean, I can make those myself. I just get some red tiles and then get some clear printed stickers. Print all the names on a sticker. And just stick the sticker on each one. That would be so tedious. But yeah, I did that. It's been about a month or 2. So I got a double plated plate on the bottom. That way it's strong enough to hold all that. Makes it easier to transport like I just did. Which kind of scared me when I was in there because I grabbed it by the reindeer. And when you grab it by the reindeer, see how it kind of starts to, it sits there, it almost breaks right here. See that?
Yeah.
See how it's curling? So it scared the heck out of me. I grabbed it. I was like, oh no! But it didn't break. I was able to grab the back long enough, quick enough. But if you grab it in the middle, it's fine. See, like that. It's like, look at that. Can you believe that happens to me? Look at my pinky. I'm not doing that. My hand is doing that on its own. It's bending like a cramp. I have to sit here and snap it back out. Fingers do that all the time to me. But yeah, I think I did a pretty good job at it. You don't even want to know how much this sucker cost me to build. So, the gray plate on the bottom here, I had that in my inventory, obviously. But it cost me almost $80 just to build that alone.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very expensive Santa Claus sleigh. And it's I'd say it's about 15 inches long. Maybe 18, might be 18 inches long total. My things in there. So I have my measuring tape in there because I was doing the wood and all that on that raised platform. I left it in there. I measure it. It looks like about 18 inches, between 16 and 18 inches long, going from Rudolph's nose to the back of the sleigh. So it's pretty long. which is why it's exactly the way I envisioned. I mean, I had this envision since like when I first put the city up. I wanted to do this. I just could never afford it or find the things. I couldn't find the Santa Claus sleigh anywhere around here. So then I ordered one. It was just a little tiny thing. It came with one reindeer. I thought to myself, oh God, I got to buy 7 more of those reindeers for that. Come to find out, it wasn't even the same one. Not the one I was envisioning. So I had that one in the city last year. And then this year I saw them at Walmart. So I got 2 of them. And I was finally able to do it. And so because I had the sleigh left, I went ahead and built the sleigh again. Exactly the same as that one, except it doesn't have Mrs. Santa Claus. And there's the sleigh by itself. See? It's built exactly the same as the other one. So I have 2 sleighs, and I got Santa Claus in the center. But yeah, little connectors that connect here, goes to reindeer, that's on that one. That's why I don't have them. And those are the reindeer too, except for Rudolph.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rudolph was was the little sleigh that I had, which I don't even know where that thing is. That's how I got the extra Santa Claus too for Mrs. Santa Claus. But yeah, I think she looks pretty good. She doesn't look like she's actually Mr. Santa Claus with a girl head on it. That's all it really is. She doesn't wear a hat. So yeah, not normally anyway. I guess she probably does sometimes, but Santa Claus is the same. I just tell everybody that's Santa Claus's helper over there. But he sits on the actually I might put him in the street of the Winter Village, since I do have the room now. I got that all done. I'll probably put him in the center of it with the plate. That way I can still pick it up. I'll probably sit him there when I get back in there, put it back in there. I'll put it in the Winter Village. I had it sitting on the drive-in screen where it's been sitting all this time. So now he's sitting down below. I got one person left in the little Lego world. Probably Lydia. Yeah, Lydia, she's a little mad. She's in there screaming, or she was in there screaming. Yeah, they lost their first game. They haven't lost since the beginning. They got cocky, probably. Oh, we're winning this one. We don't need to try that hard. Oh, we got somebody else in here. Is that you again? Oh,
Yeah.
We got 2 of you from a different view.
Yeah, I'll show you what I do. This is my desk. It's a mess, of course.
Oh, you got 3 screens too.
Yeah, this is my one monitor, which I have you on now.
Yep.
My stream set on the second one. Then this third one I just added in. I have Facebook open on that one.
Is that the one you just did just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's set up about the same way as mine. Almost exactly the same way as mine. I got the little one just directly above this one. And then that one's to the side.
Yeah, and this third one I have it plugged into this USB to HDMI adapter.
Actually, yours is vice versa. Yeah, yours is vice versa. The one with the blue on there will be the screen that I'm looking at right now on mine. And then the little one will be right above that one on mine. Yours is vice versa. Yours is that one with it above it. I can't put anything there because I got a closet right there. So I could, but it'd be in the way of everything.
Yeah.
Which is almost what I did with the Acer until I found it didn't work. It turns on, but it looks like somebody put their fist through it. So I was going to put it above this one too as a 4th monitor, but it didn't. Like I said, it was bad. So I don't know if that was your phone or my phone that dinged. No, it's probably your phone. I don't have anything from Facebook. Oh, I do have a Facebook. Free rewards. So who cares? Oh, my sister.
Yeah, sometimes with me, I'll have like multiple windows open and you're constantly like switching back and forth.
Yeah.
And then
you can never have enough monitors, huh? Never enough monitors. I remember when I had 2 and I didn't have that one. I was like, oh, I never need a 3rd one. And then I noticed how, on StreamYard, you have to keep switching over to comments and back to where you are, like brand or whatever you're doing. You have to keep switching back and forth all the time. So I thought, well, why don't I just make that for the chat? I could just go ahead and bring the YouTube chat up there, and I can make people a mod. I can do whatever I want right there on the fly. I don't have to sit there and open up the window and wait till it opens and all that stuff. It's already there, and I can do it that way. I can read whatever he says instantly. I don't have to keep switching over to comments. The only problem is I see the numbers. I see it rising up. Yeah.
Or keep pressing Alt Tab to switch between.
Switch back and forth. Yeah. The only difference is the little red number goes up, keeps going up, going up, going up. But that doesn't bug you. Then, it doesn't hurt anything. Somebody else messaged to me on Facebook. Oh, general chat. A little Lego thing I have. People show off their Lego on it. I'd be there all day long if I showed on mine. But yeah, I don't know when I'll get that city completely done. Well, hopefully I'll never get it done because I won't have more video. Obviously, I won't have anything else to do. It'll never get done. But when once I get monetized, I'll probably be doing more Lego pieces. Be able to go to Reading and get bricks and pieces and stuff like that. There, I need a lot of light gray, tons of light gray brick. So to build that Winter Village wall going around. And I need more plates. And I do mills, so I do the thick ones. I have plenty of brick. I mean, I have no problem there. Build the mills. It's just the plates I have. I don't have the 16 by 16 stud plates either. I have some, but they're all mismatched colors. So I need what is it, green or whatever, green or tan. I go both ways. And I need some more roads too, road plates. Probably about two more sets, and I'd be totally covered. Eventually, the whole entire city will be all plated, including the drive-in. So that's when it's actually going to get somewhere. That's why I've been so slow on it. So, and then now Winter Village needs to be plated too with white. So, and that'll be milled also. Yeah. Then I got my subway too, which I won't bother plating that one. I won't have that plated down there. No reason to plate that. I'd have to cut the plates anyway for all the wood feet and all that. And I don't want to do that. So it's fine like it is. It's actually bolted down and screwed down to the wood so that way it doesn't move around. So yeah, I actually redid I did redo my train my what do you call it, a raised train, the one up on the main ground level. I redid the little raised things. I actually got some trestles. I forgot I had these right here. I don't. The drawer's gone right now, but I had these right here in the bottom drawer here. A whole bunch of trestles there, but they're white, and I totally forgot. Got some lag there. Anyway, I totally forgot I had them, and I turned around one day. I looked at them, I was like, wait a minute, I could build trestles for the train, to raise it. So I had to sit there and measure it because it's got to be exactly the same height. So I did that. It looks a lot better with those in there because they're white. And then the subway, I did the same thing. I have two of those going up like this with one going around like this, going over them, which is kind of jammed in there for the lights, the train tracks, for the leave and stuff like that. So I have that in there made out of those. And I have like one or two just jammed in there underneath the wood, the ground level wood above it, to make it look like they're holding it up. I have another one in front of the wood that actually goes around the wood, which I have a little light switch there that turns on the lights underneath there. So I'd show that on my phone, but I don't think I'd be able to type those numbers in, those letters and everything like that to bite myself. And I don't have a light in there either, so it would be darker than heck because it is getting dark out here right now. Sun's starting to go down. If with it cloudy and raining, it's getting darker quicker. It's probably dark where you're at by now, huh?
Yeah, it's been dark for 2-3 hours already.
Wow. Yeah, it should be dark here in about 15 minutes, to tell you the truth. So I'll probably be getting off here in about 15 minutes anyways. So I mean, there's a lot of people that come on at 5, so I just go ahead and shut off instead of conflicting with theirs. Probably where everybody is now. Yeah, I know, Lydia. Kansas City lost for the first time. Yeah, I think I'm going to build this when I get off here. This snow plow. This looks pretty cool. Pretty cool snow plow.
What is the Packers score?
I think it was 21-30.
Packers beat the Chicago Bears 20-19.
Oh,
Huh? 20-19.
yeah, Packers beat the Bears.
Oh,
I block in a billboard.
Packers beat. Is that good or bad?
Things are good.
She likes Packers.
No, I'm not. I'm a hardcore Chiefs fan.
Oh,
I was a Packers fan until high school, and then I switched over to the Chiefs.
oh.
I hope I did not break our door.
And I hope you didn't either. I'm actually going to open up this snowplow one. This sucker's been sitting in this box for about 5 years. You can tell it's all banged up. It's actually in storage for a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to open this up. I'm just curious what this looks like. I keep forgetting about all these sets that I have, you know. I don't think I have anything left in the closet anymore except for loose Lego. Because this isn't all I have behind me. I have a whole tub of it right here that I still got to sort out. I think I have a tub in there with a little bit in it, like in bags and stuff like that. I have a few sets that are in bags, but like miscellaneous sets, it don't really matter. I can't do much with them. There's the book. And it's got stickers, figures. Not very many, about 7 stickers. So, what set is it? See, what's the set on it? 60222, Snow Groomer. This came out in, I think, what year was it? It should show it here somewhere. Where's the year on it? Come on, where are you? I can't speak Dutch. Well, don't tell me you found you. Oh, there's the English one. Nope, that's Dutch too. Oh, maybe there's. It is. Where's the year? I know the year's got to be on there. There's Spanish. I don't see the year on there. That's odd. Made in China? I don't think so. It doesn't have the year on it at all. They usually do.
Is there a little booklet that came with it?
Yeah, you know, the regular book, but it doesn't have the year on it.
It
Yeah.
might say at the
Oh,
beginning.
2019. Yep. Right there. 2019. Right there in the corner. On the bottom.
Yeah.
So this is 5 years old. And I bought it when it was brand new still. I think I bought it at Target, I think. So I don't need the book. I have them all digital. If I don't, I can get it. Only got 2 bags. 1, 2. 2 bags, that's it. A pretty simple set. Here's what parts it had in it, what a basic thing. I don't think you can hear it. Well, the shooter, I don't think they make that shooter anymore. I make something similar to it. I never do the shooter anyway. I put the shooter on, but I don't load it. And the track, I know I've got more of the track. Got the little minifig head. Yeah, it's all basically the same parts that are on now. Might not worth that much. Go get all that in one of these. I got this little sorting bin thing here, right here. Yeah, I'm kind of tearing it apart anyway. It's going to be on here much longer anyway. Get ready to maybe build this thing. This is bag 1 here. Got a real tiny bag inside it, which I think I just sliced. Yeah, we got a lot of crap. Tons of crap. And tires. It's got real actual tires on it. Okay. I only one tire and that's it. Why the heck would I only have one tire? That's really weird. I've got a car that goes with it and with that, but why would I only have one? It always has two of everything. There's the drivers right there, the ones that actually go to drive the track. You know, 4 of those, it could be 5 of those, 6 of those. Why would they only have one tire? There's only one tire. Huh. That's odd. One tire and that's it, one wheel. That's it. I don't know if it's like a spare or something goes in the back. Because yeah, it doesn't show it on here at all. There's no tire on here whatsoever. I'm wondering if they threw it in there by accident. That's weird. I'll look on the book. That's got my curiosity. What the heck the tire is for? Maybe it connects the two wheels. They both turn simultaneously. I don't know. And like gear. Looking through the book here. Yeah, you build the. So you build the tracks first. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay. That's what the tire is. That's what actually drives it. Okay. I see. Yeah, because they're brick, they're going to be all slippery, obviously. So what it does, it goes in the middle. It sits in the middle of the main part of it, and the tracks are sitting right here on each side of it. So when this turns, the tracks move. So see, this is what actually touches the ground. That's what it's for. Okay. Now it makes sense, right? I thought they'd have like 2 of them. And it was too many pigs. Not just one. Here's the head. That's all the head. It's just the bodies in here. That's unusual. Anyway. Yeah, there it is all separated, kind of. Purple here. I don't always show these perfectly. Maybe resorting them like that a little bit. There's so much track. A lot of track on this. Now that's not track on the big one. With the axles. There we go. Yeah, see, now it's all ready to go. So by working that when I get off here in about 10 minutes. Ah, well, don't get up underneath my wheels then, dumb dog. Stupid. Well, stay away then. He's growling at me, going, "Hey, you're running over my feet." Yeah, I did slice that a little bit. I almost dropped all the pieces because it came out a little slice. I barely hit. Little tiny bag. So just in there like that. Just dumped it all over. But yeah, there's the heads and the hair and the hats. Put the wheel over here. Plates. Wheel here, there we have all the small pieces. And now I got all the minifigs. And these are just city minifigs, all they are. Those guys are gonna do right now. Minifigs are easy. There's one. I don't know if I did them right, but it's matching the colors up. I think the owner's a construction worker. Like that's exactly what looks like a construction worker. Just with a different head. He's probably the driver. That's the driver.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's an orange and a blue one. And then I don't see any tools to have. Or maybe one's a skier. Yeah, this is probably a skier right here because he's got the helmet. He's probably some skis around. Because there's some ski poles here and then some skis. Same exact ones that are in the Santa Claus one, the blue ones. Blue skis. And that's it. So yeah. I always make the mini fix first and I sit them right here and they watch me. So make sure I'm doing it right. I've never had them complain about anything though. So yeah. Oh, we got one person in little Lego other than you. It's like it's either Cricket or Ken. It's probably Ken. More likely it's Ken. He runs one on his TV and I think one on his phone. He's probably running this one on the TV and that one on his phone. Yeah, I don't know why I got the square. See how you're a square on my screen? I don't know how I got that. I don't know how to take that off. To make it widescreen again. I've been trying to figure it out. I don't know what the heck I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to kick you, so it name and headline. Oh, I can edit your name. Huh. I didn't know that. But I don't know how the heck. Well, they look better there, but not by much. I know it's not in settings. I don't know how the heck I did that. Made them square like that. Well, it makes more sense that way because there's two of us. So
It's gotta be a StreamYard setting or something.
it's got to be some kind of setting. I know I hit some setting. I can't remember what it was to make it do square constantly all the time. I think I did it because I was always getting somebody in panel. I was like, I'll just keep it that way by default to always be square. That way, when I shrink it down like this, it's still the same size. See that?
Yeah.
That way, it's always the same. It doesn't switch from wide to, and then I sit here, move everything, go, okay, now I got to move my camera again. I think that's why I did it. I was getting people on panel like Cricket says she's still here.
What? 1 inch of snow Thursday? Oh,
We're getting that in rain. Yeah, it's just getting dark. I almost can't see outside now. I barely see the clouds. We're what? 2 hours difference, I think, 2 or 3. Wisconsin, I think you're 2 hours ahead of us.
yeah,
You're Central Time, aren't you?
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you're 2 hours ahead of us. So it's almost 7 o'clock. Are you going live? Yeah, change the subject quickly. Are you gonna be going live
Yeah.
soon? You go live usually right after me.
Yeah.
You are? Okay. That's why I'll probably get off at 5 too, so that way you can go on. I'll probably be over there. Give me about 5 minutes, I'll be over there.
Yeah, and this week too, I gotta bring in my solar lights because they're on lithium batteries.
Yeah. We're lagging a little bit.
Cold
Yeah, I'm lagging.
lithium.
Yeah, I was lagging there. Okay. Yeah, these here work really good. This one here I can actually pull down and show you. These ring lights. See that? That's my back ring light right there. I know it's kind of close because I can't pull the wire too much further. Yeah, see? It's not a big one. It's only, I think it's a 12-inch one. When I hit the camera there. What I do is I have a screw here that sets on. It just kind of jams on it and lays up against the wall. It's only
Yeah,
just sits there. And I got another one over here pointing sideways down at everything on down here in case I do something down here. And then I got 2 behind me. They were only like, God, at Walmart they were like $4 a piece. They were on clearance. They still have them too. So hint to anybody if you need them, and they come with the stand and everything. They're only like $4. If you go, what you do is you get on your when you get there, you get on your phone, look up ring light, okay, on the search, and when you see it, when you find this one, I can't remember what brand it is. It's like a rainbow. It's called Rainbow something. and they always have them at Walmart all the time. And when you find it, it'll say $4.97. On theirs, it's like $59.97. It's ridiculous. Well, they have to match the price of the internet one, and that's what I did. I got 4 of them. I bought every one of them they had all at the same time. I paid less than $20 for all 4 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And that was with stands, which those are long gone now. I think I used one for my camera stand. I used another one for my phone stand in there, so I can use my phone in the video on the city. I have another stand. I think, what am I using? Like, you can totally take the stands apart and make your own stand out of them, especially when you got 4 or 5 of them. But I think I have one that holds up a light. Yeah, the light that's in there is actually on a stand. It's just a bulb connected to the stand with a wire going down through it. I can't remember what I did with all the stands. I got a couple left in here with pieces of them. So I just made my own stands out of them, for $5.
Yeah.
You can't complain. And then they come also with the phone holder too. So I got 4 phone holders. I got one above my monitor right here, so I can use my phone. So I can actually connect my phone. You'll see me put it up on the screen here. I'll just connect it like this. Boom. Now I got my phone up here. So now I got my phone pointing at me. So somebody, like that. It's just the end though. It's the black end. That's all I have. And it's on a little bendable thing. So I can't take it down because it's bolted up there. I got a little L bracket with it bolted to it. I have that because if I'm expecting a phone call, so I can turn it on, I can see my phone right there. So I had that for. And I have my secondary camera right next to it, which I don't ever use that anymore. Yeah, so you just heard beep. That's because it's closer to the mic now. That way my phone's out my way. Yeah, it comes with the end with a little thing about that long and it's bendable. If you watch my videos in the other room in the city, if you watch it closely, you can see the thing going like this, moving like that, because the way the phone makes it go like that sometimes. You watch my videos, actually, technically it's sitting like that, and it's doing this, up and down, down. Well, you hit me with whatever it was, that's why he's fighting you.
I need to grab my cloth wash back.
Flippers, hey, eh? Usually responds to that. Hey, come here. Whoopers.
Say go potty.
Go
You
potty.
gotta go potty? We'll go.
He's like, no, I'm biting you.
No.
He's like chewing on her foot. I can't go take him right now. You want me to walk out? I'm gonna be getting off here. Actually, I'm getting off here anyways. Yeah, it's been 2 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and talk. Just walk out.
I need my washcloth.
I can get your washcloth. Oh, now you can get it. Then you stepped on his foot now.
No, I didn't know.
Okay, so yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and go off and I'll log off the little Lego first and then Lego World. So it'll be a few minutes before it goes off. Ah, 4 people just came in. Great Russia. Russia. Speaking. Okay. I don't understand Russian. I understand that, but they translated what they were saying for me. I can't read the name, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and log these off. I have to do one at a time. So, all right. So Arnie, I will see you in your live here about 5 minutes or so. You're going live, okay? Yeah, I'll probably be there at 5.
Yeah.
If I'm not there, it's because I probably took care of the dog or something like that. Be about 5-10 minutes. I might have to take him out first, but I'll probably be there. I know I'm subscribed to you, so I should get a notification. Are yours just pop-up lives, or are they actually scheduled?
I just usually go live when I do it.
So you just do a pop-up live. You just come on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll see you all later on Little Lego, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Say bye, Arnie.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
You can stay on if you want. While I do this.
Yeah, I'm just.
Okay, it's in. Now you can see whatever you want. Okay, so Artie's still on here with a little Lego World, which I'm going to be logging off here. And I have to actually log into it again to do that. Yeah, Artie, you can see behind the scenes here. That's what I usually have to do. I don't think you're ever on this long to see what I'm actually doing here. I have to log into a little Lego World before I can actually take it off, which is really quick. No password needed.
Yeah.
Gotta remember to hit continue always. Okay. All right, so I will see everybody in a little Lego World, and so will Arnie. Anybody who's in there wants to come to his live. I don't know if you could post your. I think you might be able to post your link in the chat on Little Lego World still, or Little Lego still, unless you're on Little Lego World. Are you on that one too?
No, I'm not on any of them.
Okay, try to post it on the other one if you still have it open, and I'll copy and paste it over real quick. That's if you still have it up. If you don't have it up, it's ended, so you won't be able to get to the chat anyways. I don't know. Just type the word drop. These Nightbot should still work. So can I still have it up?
Oh, come on, stupid phone.
I don't think you're even in the Lego World at all. Yeah, you're not. It's just Lydia. Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
It came up. I'll go ahead and just copy and paste it over there. If I can get it to copy. Actually, I don't know. It may not be the whole thing. Let me see if I can bring it up. There you go. Yeah, it was the whole thing. Okay. Copy.
yeah, you got.
Yeah, it came up in chat for me. So I'm going to go ahead and paste it. The other one, this is his. Is this the one you're beyond?
Yeah.
This is the one you'll be live on? Okay. So there's his link right there. So he'll be there in a few minutes doing a live. So I will see you all later in Little Lego World. And bye for now.